Hello and welcome to the full moon walkthrough for the Sagittarius 2024 full moon on May 23rd, 2024. I'm your astrologer, Cawnawyn. Today we're going to look through the forecast, just a little mini forecast for the Sagittarius full moon, and I'm going to walk you through the chart, pointing out a couple key aspects and transit points so that way you have some idea on how to work with the full moon right now. Thank you so much for being a subscriber of my newsletter, The Blue Hour, and you can look forward to a Blue Hour forecast for the full moon every full moon going forward. Now the chart we're looking at today is a 0 degrees Aries rising chart, which means we're not going to be looking at the houses. This chart should be applicable for you wherever you are in the world. You just need to do the time conversion. So the full moon for me is happening Pacific time at 6:53 a.m. Wherever the full moon is happening for you at that time, this should be where the planets are aligned, but your rising sign is going to look different. And keep in mind that looking at the rising sign in the house that your full moon is in where you live can also offer some more insight into how to work with the full moon, as well as comparing where the full moon is to your own natal chart or progress chart. Be sure to keep an eye out for the degree in your own natal chart as well. This full moon is occurring at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. The moon is at 2 degrees Sagittarius. The sun is at 2 degrees Gemini. So wherever those degrees lie in your chart will also add some insight into your chart and how this full moon is affecting you. And if you have any planets that are conjunct that, then it's definitely affecting you. To take you on a little tour, here's our full moon at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. The moon is up here at Sag, 2 degrees 55 minutes, the sun being down here, and of course this is what is created with a full moon in the chart because the earth where we are standing sits in the middle of it, and this creates a sun-moon opposition. Now, if we look at opposing energy, full moon energy, this is typically going to highlight losses, illuminations, right? Because the full moon's illuminated inner night sky from the sun. And the reason I say losses is because oftentimes this kind of marks the beginning of the waning phase. So there's a releasing energy that begins to happen. That illumination can bring to light some things that we need to shed and let go of. Also because it's opposing energy, oftentimes this can manifest not just within ourselves, but can be in relationships. So you see this playing out in someone else's life and it's affecting you versus internally. This can certainly be happening internally as well. And you may even feel yourself at odds within yourself during a full moon. This is a highly emotional time, and then of course we're working with air and fire energy, fire being Sagittarius, air being Gemini. So just keep in mind that this is a very passionate full moon. This is likely a verbose full moon because we have Gemini at play, and air energy loves to talk and share and create ideas together. So it may come through relationships here. Sagittarius and Gemini is really a knowledge and seeking information and communication about the world and facts and ideas axis. Just keep in mind that like a lot of this could be about communication. You may find that, you know, you're having these conversations with people that are just incredibly enlightening and bring a whole new depth of understanding. And this could be something that is illuminating something marvelous. It could also be illuminating something that's been hidden and troublesome that you're trying to expose and bring light to. So if you've wanted to have a deep conversation or a meaningful conversation with somebody, this is a great time to do it. Perhaps even some networking as well if you're going out there trying to meet new people. This full moon is really lending itself to a lot of energy to expand your mind, expand your knowledge because of that Sagittarius and Gemini axis. Now if we take a look at some of the other transits at play here, you probably can see all of these trines, this sextile, this is a trine here, sextile. We're going to focus in on these oppositions because not only is of course the moon opposing the sun, the moon was just opposing Jupiter here at 29 degrees of Taurus, conjunct Venus here at 29 degrees of Taurus. These two planets are just breath away from moving into Gemini, which is going to signal a whole new chapter right now. We are looking at a much busier time. And also, I should just note that Mercury is going to be catching up very quickly with all these planets. So we're looking at a very condensed amount of energy in the sign of Gemini coming soon, and this full moon is kind of kicking this off because the sun has just moved into Gemini just 2 days ago. Because these oppositions are technically separating, the moon has already made those oppositions. That's why these lines are fainter on my chart. They're still absolutely at play. You may find that there's a resolution or a wrapping up because it is separating, but they are most definitely at the forefront. So if we look at Taurus season, whatever you've experienced in recent weeks, right? Jupiter being our belief systems, Jupiter has spent the last year in Taurus, so it's wrapping up a very big journey. This might be a conclusion of something that you've been building or working toward for the last year. And then Venus is in her home sign in Taurus, but she's now at the very, very last light of Taurus, about to move into busy Gemini. There's again kind of this sense of loss here where Venus is letting go of her Taurus expression, and as is Jupiter, and the moon has just opposed those. So again, this could be highlighted as things coming to a close or a conclusion, or finding out things that sort of wrap up a storyline within the sign of Taurus. So this could be around Taurus related things. This is resources, finances, possessions, home, land. This could be around your own self-care, self-worth, pleasure, satisfaction, right? And so sex, right? So all of these Taurus related things, you might be seeing a chapter closing, or at least some sort of interaction with this full moon with those subject matters. And it may be very dramatic. Sagittarius, the moon's ruler for this full moon, is Jupiter. So it's opposing Jupiter. So there's a lot of this you and me energy and this reflection, seeing this play out in another person, or perhaps the dynamic relationship between you and another person being highlighted in a big way. And Jupiter does expand whatever it touches. So if it's emotion, that's bigger emotion. If it's problems, that might result in bigger problems. If it's finding solutions, it may be finding more solutions or working together. So there's a lot of ways this could go, but I definitely think it feels dramatic. And then because Venus is also at play, this is once again highlighting relationships and what we are attracting, what we are finding beautiful, what we want to like manifest in terms of pleasure and satisfaction. So this Taurus theme is really highlighted here, and it might be the crux of whatever you're discussing with that Gemini Sagittarius energy. Now, also, I'll make note that all of this is in sextile to Neptune, which is really lovely, and it also might be, you know, cause for some misunderstanding. So remember, Neptune rules over delusions or illusions. It's all the things we can't really see or touch or feel, but we can like know. I guess you can feel it, right? So we can feel Neptune, but we can't like tangibly grasp Neptune. And that could cause like some sort of communicative misunderstanding because it's hard to grasp, but you feel it, you know it. And so you might be focusing extra hard on your Pisces, Neptune feelings, right? Your depth of whatever it is emotionally you're going through. So that might also be highlighted as well. We really have all the elements represented in this full moon here, just in those aspects alone. Also, I want to make mention that all of this is trine Pluto right now. So here's Pluto up at 2 degrees of Aquarius, and the sun will be exactly trine Pluto. So last time we had the sun and moon squaring Pluto at their full moon, and that definitely brought up a lot, I think, of tension and probably some stress. That full moon was really kind of dynamic, volatile, like super deep in terms of like subject matter, and may have really been like a turning point for you. This could also mark another turning point where things are Pluto being uncovered, but you may find it's an easier process because we're working with a trine here. Here's our trine, here's our sextile. So there's a collaborative relationship between the moon and Pluto, wanting to unveil new knowledge, new subject matter, right, in order to Aquarius progress us forward. And then you have the trine from the sun to Pluto. So that's really harmonious, or at least an easily flowing. It doesn't have to be harmonious, but it can just, it's kind of the gates getting wide open. I guess in this case, the wind turbines are moving, right, because we're working with air energy. So there's lots of words, there's lots of talk, there's lots of communication happening, and it's probably around what does this future look like. Perhaps you're unveiling some things that needed to be taken out of the shadows, Pluto, right, uncovered from underground, and you're exploring themes around Pluto. This could be like psychological themes, this could be psychological trauma, this could be shame, guilt. Pluto is kind of highlighting this and opening the door to like, let's discuss this subject matter as well and make it like kind of easily flowing within conversation. So I think you could probably see where this could really lend itself to a lot of like enlightening, even healing conversation in this, and just like exploring the depths together. Sagittarius, this moon in Sag, is like not afraid to go seek truth, right? That's what the moon wants ultimately. So maybe that's what you're just trying to get to the bottom of, and it unpacks all this other stuff. But truth is really being highlighted here. And then the sun in Gemini here really wants all the facts out in the open, wants to state all the things, wants to collect all of the data. And then this Pluto in Aquarius is saying, okay, so how do we take that and integrate it with the future? Like, where do we go from here? Is there a transformation that needs to occur? The last thing I'll make mention of also is that we have the Mars here conjunct the North Node. It's separating in its conjunction. It's moving slowly, so it's been around here for a while, but it's still certainly at play. Plus we have it in, it's in a, I guess, elemental like harmony with the moon because they're both in fire signs, and the moon will move into a trine with all this energy later, probably that day actually, at least within 24 hours of the full moon going exact. It's going to move into a trine with all of this Aries energy. And we have Chiron at play here too. So this can look like words that are Mars or like cutting, but you know, in pursuit, hopefully, of, again, truth. This can look like exposing old wounds or potentially healing. So just be aware, again, once again, full moons, I think, are always a time where you kind of have to check and realize, like, we're dealing with some sensitive energy here, probably sensitive subject matter. We may realize we have to let go of things. We have to make sacrifices. We have to expose the wounds and heal them by, like, looking at them with clarity. And the full moons can bring a lot of clarity. Sagittarius, where that moon is not afraid to just rip off the band-aid and say, here's the truth, like it or not. Sagittarius energy can be extremely blunt, but it's to the point, it's to the fact. And when it trines all of this, it's really in pursuit, remember, of that North Node. The North Node, well, it's everything you're growing and evolving to. It is very much a discomfort zone, so it may feel really uncomfortable to want to grow there. But with this knowledge that you may gain from this full moon, it's kind of like taking the glasses off and never being able to put them back on again, right? It's kind of exposing the truth. It's a little bit of like a red pill, blue pill situation, right? Like once you know the truth, you can never go back. So I want to just wrap this up by saying I really wish you all the best out there. Remember to try to step in that energy of Gemini if you can, and really examine whatever is coming up for you in a way that is curious like a Gemini, is objective like a Gemini. You look at all the details as data, as facts, not as like taking it personally, because that can really help when passions get inflamed, when we feel defensive, when we feel attacked. I think it's really important that we try to listen as best as we can in the instances that like it will serve us, and, you know, really try to maintain a relationship, you know, where we want to. If we're in conversation with somebody and the subject matter is painful, but it's in the effort to heal and make better, it's better to stand in a place of Gemini, like openness and maybe open-mindedness, right? As objective as possible. So that way it's clear and there's an ability to like see everything clearly and work with what you have versus letting emotions get in the way. All that goes to say, I wish you the very best this full moon. Thank you again for being a Blue Hour subscriber and having access to these full moon walkthroughs. I hope you're enjoying them. If you ever have a question or a comment or are curious, you can comment on this video on YouTube, or you can send me a direct email at cawnawynmore@gmail.com. I would love to chat all things with you, or if you have questions, I'm happy to answer. And look out for the upcoming Litha message that we will have next month at the start of Cancer season. And almost right around the corner from that, we'll have the Capricorn full moon. We actually have 2 Capricorn full moons next season. So not a blue moon, but 2 Capricorn full moons to look forward to. If you're interested, please be sure to follow me over on my Instagram, where I post all of the transits coming up, all of our ingresses, full moons. I do lots of astrology and magic over there, as well as if you listen to Bonfire Babble podcast, I of course release my seasonal forecast for the entire season. So you can check out the Gemini season forecast right now on Bonfire Babble. And I just want to remind you that you are here to manifest a life of divine purpose and glory, for you are worthy and you are free. Blessed be.